Just continuing from right where I left off last time. Which is here. Luckily, I left this here. Okay, so with these, this uses local storage. Do I expose that local storage? Oh, or is this just this is just the generic? This is the standard global local storage. So there is no actual need to expose anything. Although I'm modestly surprised that I've apparently managed to use local storage without declaring it anywhere. Did I import it somewhere? Doesn't feel like I did. Oh wait, I used local storage, not local forage, which makes sense because this is just saving some configuration settings. Okay. So does local... I forget how local storage worked. I forget how form sentence good. I forget how local storage works. Does it... oh boy. Does it throw an exception, or does it just return null? I know that local forage returns null, but that could be one of its small but important list of differences from local storage. Okay, it is in fact null, which means that this documentation is incorrect. This should be stringer null, but anyway, let's not fight it. Provider, that's the thing to use. That's the name to use, not method provider. No, this is not in the master UI. Oh, in fact, this isn't even in the UI at all, because I haven't put it there yet. I made this the very first one here. You know what? That it doesn't matter because they're just panels. It'll just show one panel, but having that be literally the first one feels a little bit strange. Yeah, let's just make it the last one before things like help. Hello, Speclad. Haven't seen you in a dev stream in a while. Cloud storage cell panel. Oh well, it's a convenient time for me. And for obvious reasons, I take it as a very, very, like, this is a low stress stream. I should maybe have a cancel button. I guess there's close. Close is cancel. This isn't work, Speclad. Nobody's paying me for this. I guess that's true, Speclad. That fair point. Fair point. It is the case that people are paying me for Ennuicastr. I was talking to a tax specialist because I have weird tax things because I'm a U.S. citizen who lives in Canada, and talking about the business and business taxes and how like it's not a big deal because it doesn't earn enough money for it to really matter. And he was saying like, well, you should still plan for what to do if it takes off and it does well. And my response is like, if it takes off and does well, I will start charging less so that it earns less money. I just don't want like the tax ramifications. I don't want the money. I want a simple life. I mean, it's only complicated if you care. The trick is not to care. Enough. Okay, so now the panel is in place. My working hours got very, very complicated during the event. And now my working hours are pretty much just as needed. And since I'm a morning person, I tend to work from like 7 a.m. till maybe 3. And so this is just like a post work cool down kind of thing. I should really make it so that well, canceling isn't actually that important, because if this function just gets stuck in the promise right here, then nothing happens, and so who cares? Like, nothing is supposed to happen, and nothing happens. Okay, so I need file storage to have the option to load a remote file storage instance. Einsteinst. Sure, sure, why not? Okay. Think, brain think. Okay, so I need the cache instance, I need the remote instance, and I need the cache forage instance. Oops. This was supposed to take the provider as an argument. Okay, and that's a fairly normal instance, so I can just create that. Then the remote, or non-local, is just going to refer directly to the source to remember how this is how this works. Actually, I'll refer to the demo, even better. What? Is the demo called Dropbox login because I'm an idiot? No, that's something else. Maybe I just didn't include the demo because I'm an idiot. I'm going to go with I definitely did not include the demo. Oh yeah, because I still have all this in the demo. It is true that all roads lead to idiot. That is very true, SpecLad. go. I need to define drivers. Really, I guess I should have this be one of the two supported drivers. And it looks like I'm here naming it with a capital D rather than a hyphen, so just for consistency's sake, I'll do the same thing here. And by consistency's sake, I mean, what's consistency? Did I not actually import non-local forage yet? I didn't actually import non-local forage yet. Oops. Well, I guess either way I do need cache forage, so I may as well keep that aside for later. That's not the one I meant. Obviously, this should never happen. Okay, let's make a generic request login function. Is it navigator.useraction? No. Non-local forage equals stealing from the neighboring tribe, says Veclad. Yeah, and that's what I'm doing. There we go. User activation. New as of 2023. It is navigator.userActivation. Which means, unfortunately, this isn't even in TypeScript yet, but... So if we're already active, then we don't need anything special here. Request login really is just get transient user activation. Otherwise, oh, right. This is actually going to have to be a function here because I can't have the file system depending on the user interface. Oh, I definitely should not call this request login. Okay. Create instance. The driver is the provider. Right, I forgot about the key local forage. How many instances can we make? Okay, then we have the Dropbox specific actions and the Google Drive specific actions, and it's harmless to have both of these. And I'm going to go with no, Speclat. Dropbox client ID is that. There's API key and client ID. Okay. My client ID has cock in it. Okay, so now I have the local and the remote. Now I need the actual like file storage, which is combining those. It is in no way a problem with my. It also has something we. Brilliant. Molnui. Machine learning ennui. It is definitely not a problem with my API that in order to use it, you need to create 1, 2, 3, 4 instances of local forage. I can't imagine why that would be a problem. Oh, here's NLLF. I think that's... Wait, why is it NLLF? It should just be NLF. It's not non-local. Oh, it's non-local local forage. This is the non-local local forage instance. Is that confusing? So the local is the cache, and the non-local is the remote. Now that we've done all that bullshit, we just have to put that, put it in a file storage. Or put it in a file storage. Okay. We have the provider set, so now we need... Hey, wait. It's rather important that I don't do any of this if you didn't ask me to. Turn off the cloud storage, and it goes, oh, tell me which cloud storage you want to turn off. All, please. I really doubt if I have imported file storage here. Indeed, I haven't. Oh God, what have I done? I don't even need to await. I just need this to happen. Technically speaking, this should never happen, so I'm just going to set that as an alert for now and come back to it later. Whee! Yeah, okay. Leaving fix me's instead of just declaring that I am unhappy with it is a good idea. Okay, debugging time. Right. It's annoying when you're using properties that aren't defined in TypeScript because you just have to sort of tell TypeScript to go away. What? Oh, of course, yeah. Local forage doesn't know about my options, so anytime I'm using my own options, I just have to force it. Yay for type checking! Oh, God. Syntax. Incidentally, while I was joking about this should never happen, so it doesn't really matter, technically speaking, I think having an alert will actually have the desired behavior. It will get transient activation. So, by no fault of my own. And how does your therapist respond to that, Speclad? Find that to be a pretty useful session? Cool. It's nothing. Hello, Joshua. Welcome. I mean, I guess it's... Well, no, because... How is it possible that this just isn't firing? Oh, God, I did it again. I have been building software with Make for... I don't... 20 years? Like... for decades. And I still don't remember to make install. Now we're talking. Now we're not talking. I'm pretty much always talking. Doesn't take much to get me talking. I didn't realize there was so much broken shit here. Oh, I know what this is. Interestingly, this is in RT Ennui, I think. No, it isn't. Well, that is just an event, so it's not critical that I debug it immediately. And suddenly this doesn't do anything again. For a brief shining moment. Oh, of course, okay. No, I know exactly why that's not doing anything, because I've now saved which cloud provider I'm using. And you know what? If this is unchecked, what I should do is delete that so that they have the option to change it. What's the right way to do this? You know what? For the time being, I'm leaving it like this, and I'll have to worry about changing it later. It's weird that I got no... Like, there's no exceptions, no issues. It just didn't go. I am going to do some of the ugliest debugging possible. Are you prepared for how hideous this debugging is about to be? I could set a breakpoint, but when it's like doing interactive things with a user interface, having a breakpoint and like step through debugging with the interaction as well is pretty much the most painful experience possible. No, Speclad, the case is meaningful. It is not just that I've mixed the case. The start and end are uppercase. All of the others are lowercase. So it is not just lazy typing or something. It is actually communicating more information. What? That wasn't an option. That can't happen. What? It should pop up a window and then fail to log in because I haven't added this URL to the list of acceptable URLs. But it didn't pop up a login. It didn't do anything. It just, like, succeeded, but it can't succeed. That was not one of the things that could happen. I have defined the driver. Task exactly, Speclad. Task failed successfully. Nothing went wrong except that it didn't work. Can I? I can't get a list of all drivers? No. I mean, I can at least get the driver being used by this. And that will probably confirm that it is not the driver it should be using. What? Excusez-moi? Yet again, that was not among the possible options. It can't be none. It just can't be none. That's not one of the options. It can't be no driver. There's no such thing as no driver. Pretty sure that's not one of the options, local forage. Pretty sure that one's not good. That's not okay. It can't be no. Okay. Let me just deal with that in some way. So I definitely defined the driver. I guess I haven't like verified that I'm actually exposing this variable correctly. I don't know what the hell I'm expecting here. I mean, that explains why it didn't like try to log into Google Drive or anything, because it wasn't actually using a driver, but it can't be none. That's not one of the options. It should either be one of the built-in drivers or the driver I asked for. And really, it just should be the driver I asked for. Yeah, so the driver is there and defined. It has the name that it should. I'm assuming that, oh, it doesn't actually show me, like, the code here, and I don't want to go jumping into the other panels and such. So that is, it's defined. What is going on? Yeah, this doesn't return anything. There's no missing something here. I have the key driver. Create instance. What's very strange is, like, if my driver was just botched, you would think that create instance would just crash and throw an exception, but instead it's returning null, which just does not feel like one of the options. I just remembered that that has a random name, so that breakpoint isn't going to do anything. Thank you, caching. Oh god, what was I expecting? I've achieved nothing. Hopefully if I keep going in, I will eventually get to the create instance that's actually part of this local forage, but or part of the non-local forage implementation. So let me see if I can set the breakpoint at a better place for that. Not like that, I can't. Init storage is what I'm looking for. Okay, that's cache forage. That's Dropbox. So this is, yes, Google Drive. So let's see if it even got here. Where are your source maps? Asks Speclad. I have found that source maps. So the problem is basically that like having all the files arranged on the server as the source map expects is such a pain in the ass. Like I'm not building my software inside of the web directory, and so yeah, just having a non-minified source. I find that source maps are just more trouble than they're worth in a lot of situations. Like, unless this was, because this is not running locally, this is running remotely. So, like, I don't have access to the files locally, which means they would have to be exposed on the web, which, yeah, it's just like all this crap just to be able to get a file name there when I can also just find it by grep. What is going on? So somewhere within local forage, it just like gave up. it just decided never mind. Is that important? Is there a reason I wasn't doing that? Is that where all the logging in happens? Is that where init storage happens? Should I have been doing ready for everything? Seems unlikely since request login is there, but I suppose it's not inconceivable. Oh. Yeah, and it prevented it from opening a pop-up window because that is not, in fact, transient activation. Okay. I'm surprised that it wasn't transiently activated by pressing that, but I guess it had to, like, load in libraries. One moment. Apparently, I'm going to be extremely sideways. Hello, I've broken my neck. No, no, that's not resetting position. That's not resetting position at all. Let me quickly unbreak my neck here. So I'm betting that the transient activation problem is because I hadn't loaded the Google components. I like to not load every library in the known universe. So probably, man, I need to think very hard about transient activation. Maybe the better way to do this is just, instead of this being called join recording, I'll just call this the transient activation panel, and then I will have some transient activation function that lets you choose what you want it to say. The only place I ever needed transient activation before was joining a recording, but now there are multiple kinds of transient activations. Stand back, I know regex. Here's another transient activation problem. You know what? Let's just get to the implementation of show panel, which is not here. Oh, of course it's not here. It's in the UI frontend. Let's document show panel. No, not make nothing modal. Spend a little bit of time randomly documenting things I never bothered to document before. What am I listening to? This is by Bajo Fondo? I have no memory of this. I've listened to everything in my in my Tango Nuevo collection, but somehow this is 0% familiar to me. Okay, show panel itself doesn't actually need to change. Bouton. String. What? That was some wacky autocomplete it just did. That was real weird. Wait, I don't want just to show transient activation. I want to transiently activate. What do I actually want here? Yes. And once we have transient activation, that was the entire point of this. Look at how much simpler that is. Activation panel. I believe audio is the other place that used that, yes. This is a slightly nightmarish mess of promise chains and async functions just because it's been written over the course of years. Door open. Man, that's much simpler, but I don't think I did anything wrong there. I think that's correct. Which means that now I can actually perform this transient activation. No longer have to be unhappy. You know what? This one does not need to be modal. If they close it, then they don't log in. Whatever. That's it. Just wait for transient activation. Start the string with one quote, end it with the other quote. Why not? That's called creativity. What? Ah. It's possible that it won't like returning nothing instead of returning a promise void. That would make some sense because nothing is not a promise of nothing, it is just nothing. But if that's so, then I will just make a promise. Now that's interesting. It does let you implicitly cast a promise of nothing, or cast nothing to a promise of nothing. This is not an async function, so it's not inherently a promise. It just knows, like, it's just allowing promises to be a little bit loosey-goosey because of what promises are. Sometimes TypeScript really surprises me. That really surprised me. Maybe... Yeah, because this is transient activation, but I think opening a window requires more than just transient activation. Oh dear. Oh dear. So it is all that's needed for window.open. Yeah, there's no other activation that it could need. Just as a sort of testing matter, let me take this away and not check for user activation. Like, don't check whether we're already transiently active, just assume that we are. Or no, not just assume that we aren't, rather. Exactly the opposite of the thing I just said. So it should always show the transient activation panel. Like, is it possible that that the documentation sucks? Yes. It's in fact certain that the documentation sucks. It always sucks. This is fine. The access blocked is what I should be seeing because, yeah, there's the redirect URI mismatches. I have not yet configured this to allow kahat.ecastr.com, but I'm a little bit, I'm a little bit distressed because evidently just checking this wasn't good enough to get it uh, to transiently activate. Well, no, it's that there's some other activation. It requires ultra activation, even beyond transient activation. Yeah, this just isn't true. There's a third. Because I checked for transient activation. So there's some kind of super duper ultra activation that's more than transient. Unless even awaiting the promise that actually didn't do anything and just checked whether that is a testable theory. Uh, no. Transient activation was still true. Oh, I actually have two. I was like, why am I hearing myself? Because I left that browser window open, so I was in fact connecting to myself. So transient activation is just a lie then? Is it the big fat lie? It's just a big old big fat lie? Just a big stupid fat lie? Transient activation is just a big stupid fat lie? Big fat lie stupid? That's exceedingly annoying. That, like, that throws a wrench into my entire user interface. Well, I'm going to worry about the user interface wrench later. No. An async function that just immediately awaits a void function can just return the result of that void function. It is equivalent. Parameters cannot have a question mark and initializer. Of course they can't. I like have question mark and initializer, not be optional and have initializer. Well, I guess it is still optional, so it's really just the nature of optionalness. So, okay, have question mark, fine. Oh, this still says join recording. Yuck. Okay, well that works. It sucks, but it works. Gonna have to think carefully about the user implications, but for the time being, I need to work more on the just do the thing implications, like actually function implications first, and user interface implications later. So that's it for now. More implications later. Stream over.